The next type of dominance we deal with, and the last type of dominance, is codominance. So it's still a monohybrid cross, as we are still dealing with the inheritance of one trait. In the example you'll see today, we're dealing with fur color of a rabbit. So we still follow the same principle of doing a monohybrid cross where the genotype is 2 letters, gametes are 1 letter, etc. But with codominance, the difference between that and incomplete dominance is that here both alleles are equally dominant. Therefore, both are expressed equally in the phenotype. So that is huge. So the fact that now, instead of having a black rabbit and a white rabbit mating to make a gray rabbit, now you have a black rabbit and a white rabbit mating to make a rabbit that has black and white spots or patches. So you see equal distribution of both colors inside the phenotype when that offspring is heterozygous. So if you look at this example, we have a rabbit with black fur and a rabbit with white fur. So we use the same letters that we used for the incomplete dominance example. The rabbit with white fur, a W is going to be a white allele, and the white fur, any individual will have 2 W's because they will have 2 letters in their genotype. Black fur will be a black allele, so that individual will have 2 B alleles. And the offspring being black and white spots or patches, they will get a W from the one parent and a B from the other, and they will end up having either BW or WB. However you choose to write it, it doesn't matter which way around these letters go, as we haven't given you any guidance in the question. So the first question here is, what type of dominance is seen? The way you tell is by seeing in the phenotype of the offspring. Black with or white with black spots, or if it was black with white spots, it's the same thing. It's patches, it's equal distribution. All of these are synonyms that are saying that there are going to be patches of black and white on the offspring. So that is showing you that this is codominance, because both alleles are equally dominant. They will both be expressed equally when we talk about the phenotype in the heterozygous state. So you always want to explain those questions quite nice and clearly. I know it doesn't say explain, but I'm explaining it for you. So let's look at drawing the actual genetic cross for this example. So the first thing we need to do is write out our key. W being the allele for white fur, B for being the allele for black fur. Please don't just write black and white. Black what? Black fur. White what? White fur. So the parent phenotypes, you have a white-furred bunny cross a black-furred bunny. The genotypes, like I've already established up here in the question, if it has white fur, it will have to have 2 W's. If it has black fur, it will have to have 2 B's. Again, we use capital letters only. Then this bunny or rabbit can only give a W to its gametes. So all of its gametes will have W's, and all of these gametes will have a B. Remember, the gametes are only 1 letter, because this gamete can fuse with that gamete, and then you will end up with 2 letters again to make the genotype. A genotype for every trait is always 2 letters, 2 alleles. Then when we do our gametes, it's always 1 allele for each trait, because the homologous chromosomes separate. Then, when we're looking at now fertilizing the gametes during the process of fertilization using a Punnett square, you put the one rabbit's alleles on the top, the other on the side, and you simply mate them like this. Now, it can be BW or it can be WB. It depends on how you choose to write it. So we're going to end up with the genotype of all of our offspring being BW. So all of them will end up also having white fur with black patches. So again, remember, you don't have to technically write out the all with BW. If you want to write the genotype for the F1 next to the Punnett square to show that what you are finding out or showing in the Punnett square is indeed the F1 genotype, you are welcome to do that. But I rewrite it for monohybrid crosses just for clarity. You must always translate that, though, into the phenotype. Now, it's very easy to get confused between incomplete and codominance. The key here is in the wording of the question. If this were to be an incomplete dominance question, the only difference in the way we would do it is the wording would come in here with a rabbit with white fur crossed with a rabbit with black fur. All the offspring were gray. So the only difference, if that was the case, instead of saying white with black spots, we said all the offspring were gray. The only difference would be all the way at the end here, where you would say all gray rabbits or all gray fur, whatever you want to say. So incomplete and codominance are very similar. It's just about interpreting what information you are given and doing a cross and translating the genetic composition or the genotype of the offspring into the correct phenotype. And in this case, it needed to be for codominance, which is about having patches or spots.